What's up, everybody?
I'm Dad,
I'm Kid,
and we are.
comics and other cons.
You
So,
know what?
yeah,
Go ahead, kid. Go ahead.
I was just gonna say we basically just talk a lot of shit and review comics and nerdy stuff. This is gonna be our third posting, but second full episode. So I just have to feel like I keep reminding everybody who we are because you don't know us yet, because we're not on your radars yet, but we will be hopefully someday in the future. I don't know. What were you gonna say, Pop?
Um, Look,
That's that old timers.
it is. I got old timers. No, I was just sitting here looking over these notes, thinking about this episode. But don't you want to tell the viewers something first, kid?
Yeah. So this is the episode that we're gonna review, which is What If episode 1. Mind your business. We are aware that episode 2 was our first actual posting that we did a review and recap on. We have like lives and stuff, so we just like didn't get this out sooner. So it's late. We know, we're aware. We just got shit to do. So it's episode 1, the episode where it is Captain Carter and what if Peggy became captain. So again, the same spiel, feel free to like and subscribe and push the little bell next to the subscribe button so you get notifications on every time we post. I don't have very good spatial awareness because we are not doing this in the same room. So I don't know on the screen where I am versus where the subscription button is. I just know it's below our faces. So just click on it down wherever it is.
And our junk's below our faces, but if they want to go there, nobody's going to stop you.
I mean, I might. I may stop you. I can't speak for my dad. I don't want to speak for my dad. I may stop you in all honesty.
It's a pandemic, sweetie. We're just getting out of it. I'm backed up. They're welcome to go down there.
Okay. This is not a thing over on this side of the screen. Mm-mm.
This side, get your ass down there. All right. So the very first thing that I will give my quick synopsis of things. Between the two captains, and when you think about Captain America, the first Avenger, and you think about Captain Carter, what if Captain Carter? We have the benefit of having seen Captain America first, Steve Rogers, and then we have the animated Peggy Carter as Captain. Peggy done fucked around and out Captain Steve. And look, I'm Team Cap. Okay, I'm an old boy from Brooklyn. Okay, just like Cap. But Peggy was fucking people up, and it was something terrible. I mean, it's never a good time to have been a Nazi, but it damn sure wasn't a good time to be a Nazi when Peggy Carter was captain.
Yeah, no, I'm pretty sure lots of people lost limbs, jaws, and lives in the making of this episode.
Jaws, draws, everybody lost something. But yeah, it and that's not a knock at Steve Rogers. I think that the one thing that we have to remember is that the serum makes more of what you are inside come out.
Right. That's why US Agent didn't last very long.
Correct. One thing we learned from Peggy Carter in the first Avenger and in Agent Carter, Peggy never liked to be belittled. She didn't like to be put down because she was a woman, told she can't do stuff. They always wanted to send the man out to do. Peggy was always in the background as a supporting character. But in Agent Carter, just as in Captain America, First Avenger, she still got shit done.
Right. Her and Jarvis.
Well, that oh whoops. Whoa.
Whoopsies.
Yeah. I was gonna say we're gonna edit that out, but we're not. But Peggy always had a lot of anger and aggression in her. And that shit came out in this What If episode. From shortly after the moment occurred, and the moment was when Peggy Carter decided to stay in the room.
Right. As the
which is quite apropos for a lot of women today in all professions and all walks of life, is that women are now more than ever allowed to stay in the room. You know, they're invited in the room. They're a lot of times the majority of the room.
They're leading.
So that was the thing that we can take away in that about today's climate and from years past moving up, is that women are now, nobody asks women now if you want to be in the room or stay in the room.
Right.
Peggy almost always had a creased eyebrow. She was always kind of like this, except when it had to do with Steve. She always had that, oh, Steve. Right after she just finished fucking up a bunch of Nazis, in between head cracking, she was like, oh, Steve. Right. You know, it was always that goofy love. Yes, it was always that goofy love when it was Steve. And that reminded me of another thing I'm going to jump to right quick and say that, much like the Scarlet Witch, to me, Peggy and Steve's romance is a Nexus event. Because even though we're in another place where Peggy is now going to be the captain, she still has that love for Steve, even though the roles are reversed and now Peggy is the one that's the super soldier and Steve is the supporting character. They still have that love. Mm-hmm. And that is the one thing that we can appreciate that hasn't changed,
right,
for them.
Speaking of which, what did Steve think he was doing when he got out of the little thing?
You know what?
I to a man with a gun, and he didn't have. What was he? I just need to know.
And not only did they make Steve like real scrawny, right? But he had some big ass balloon pants on. He had some hammer pants on.
And he had huge feet.
He did. That was the only thing he had on him that was, that we could see. That was big. So, big feet, right?
No, I don't, Dad. I don't. But thank you.
I don't know. Shit, maybe that's why Peggy was in. They got big feet. And let's face it, the Peggy Carter we knew from Captain America: First Avenger had more training than Steve had.
Right.
Steve had that moxie, I could do this all day. But Peggy could fight. Yeah, Peggy could fight. She was trained better than Steve was. When Steve became the Winter Soldier, when Steve became the Super Soldier, we'll get into that Winter Soldier thing later. When Steve became the Super Soldier, he wasn't as sure of himself, and it took him a little longer to get more sure of himself once he got his powers. With Peggy, it didn't take long at all. In fact, in this episode, we see until we see her in the training room, Peggy's holding back because she wanted to bust old boy in the face a couple times.
All of the time.
I mean, Peggy had to hold a lot back. And she took it out on the wall of the training room because let me tell you, those 45-pound plates that Peggy was putting in that wall, and I appreciate she didn't have any shoes on, which is another running theme. I don't know what that is all about. But to show you how tough she was, she would kick that plate up, get into that shield where you kick it up with your foot. And she would throw those 45-pound plates into the wall, and the wall was littered covered with 45-pound plates. I don't know where they were getting all these plates from, but apparently Rogue was making a fortune off all these plates that Peggy was using.
Dark industry.
Everybody who works out knows what I mean when I say that. But
Stark Industries was manufacturing them. That's why.
I think they were. They got into that business.
Yeah.
This episode was so action-packed. It was more action-packed than Captain America: The First Avenger.
It was.
Peggy went on an ass-whooping spree and left a trail of Nazis that we can't even see how far the trail was.
I think my favorite part of that was when she was standing in front of the truck and she just kept going from left to right, left to right.
Oh man.
Just as every one of them came, she knocked them down, and that was, and I was like, and with the shield, and it was fantastic. Her first like actual fight when Stark gave her the changes he made to the suit, and then she went out and gave her the shield and the whole nine, and all of them. She just, and then she even the spy in her came out because she was like, oh, I'm usually more covert than that, and we're like,
yes,
yeah, but not. I mean, you're this. Just go, just do it.
And I appreciate.
Nobody fucking cares.
The very first scene after she gets out of the chamber, and she's standing there, and Peggy is cop Diesel standing there. She's like, it was, Steve looked good, but he didn't look like Peggy did. Peggy was standing there with her arms out, chest up, and nobody was going to go and poke Peggy in the chest. So we could forget about that. And if they did, we would have seen them with the arms in the cast.
Well, maybe Steve gotten away with that.
Yeah, for a split second though, they kind of, after Peggy got out, right? She got out of the thing, and Steve was like, "Wow, Peggy, you look good." And meanwhile, he's still there, shot to shit, right?
Right, bleeding
still laying
on
the ground, hand over, still bleeding to death, right? Peggy standing there posing for, female CrossFit, and
Black Widow style.
Oh man, so she was a poser. She was. Let's see. Peggy's use of the shield was nothing short of remarkable. Like you said, the scene where she's in the headlights of the truck and she's like just whooping Nazi ass as they keep coming back and forth. Mm-hmm. It's like we almost get like a song going, hip hop hooray or some shit like that. I mean, it was like the days when your mother would beat your ass and she'd have a hold of your shirt. You was trying to get away. She'd be like, "Where you think you going?
Right.
Go no." I mean, she was just whooping ass. You could have played music to it. And Steve's super soldier would have been the one that wanted to not hurt you, but to disable you. He would have wanted to find a way to try to talk you out of some things early on. Peggy didn't talk anybody out of anything. I'm surprised that the Nazis weren't bankrupted just by the healthcare that they had coming in, the claims, because she killed most of those dudes.
Or the life insurance claims.
I know, right? Yeah. Well, there's a lot of happy German Fräuleins. Peggy
and all of them were.
Peggy was killing people like there was no tomorrow, and she didn't look back. She didn't go, "Oh God, is he all right?" Nope. When she kicked those dudes off the motorcycle, and they went straight to the fire, right? Because fuck it, that's where Nazis go. But
or when Fräulein came out.
Oh man! Oh, when Gunter.
Right.
Comes out, he's like the neck cracking shit. He's all ready. He's like, he's getting ready to fuck up the helpless Fräulein. And I'm like, dude, didn't you notice all of them men laying around dead or dying? And you didn't realize that she did it? I think I would have started the truck up and drove off.
Right. I would have drove in first. I gotta go. I'll see you later.
Yeah, I would have been gone. I was like,
I need to be the one to live to tell the tale.
Somebody has to tell it. It's like the Pirates of the Caribbean. Well, where do the stories come from if there's no survivors? So yeah. Peggy meant to hurt you. Peggy didn't mean to take any prisoners. Peggy was out to hurt you. And she was a results-oriented woman. And boy, did she get results.
Woo. Like all of the results.
I appreciated that the super soldier serum, the vial, they kept continuity in the color. It was the same color that they used in the Falcon and the Winter Soldier, Captain America and the Winter Soldier. And it was the same, well, you know, I got the black people, gotta give a shout out to, you know.
Right. It was
So
the
I know
same,
some people still feel some kind of way about that. So
it was the same color as the pouches that Stark was transporting when Bucky, the Winter Soldier, killed Stark and his wife. It was the same bright blue color and the same bright blue color as in Captain America, the First Avenger. So it was
correct.
Same consistency.
The one thing that changed during the transformation is Peggy did not scream.
Yeah.
And I don't know if that's a nod to women and their higher threshold for pain, because Peggy just grit them teeth and held that shit in.
I mean, so something we do at least once a month when puberty starts.
The other thing that stayed true as far as continuity of character is that super soldiers are still not bulletproof.
Right.
That carried through Falcon and Winter Soldier. They were not bulletproof.
Right.
Super strong, which is also interesting when you think how she was kicking motorcycles and shit all over the place, and you know she didn't go like, ow, my goddamn my shin or something like that. I guess you got adrenaline going, you killing Nazis, you don't feel anything.
You deal with the bruises later.
Yeah.
It's a Nazi.
I loved that the Red Skull was the Red Skull again.
Right.
That guy could easily do deep fakes for Hugo Weaving. I'm sure.
Yes.
He really could. He was so good.
It's unfortunate, almost in just a ironic way that he went out the way he went out. He called that monster in, and then the monster killed him first.
But it's another reminder that villains or bad people tend to think about doing these things to take over the world, and I'm gonna do this and I'm gonna blow up the world. Well, what happens when you blow up the world? You happen to be on the fucking world when you blow it up.
Like Peter Quill said, I'm one of the idiots who lives in the universe.
So it's just one of those things that it's funny that he somehow thought this thing that he would bring into our universe would work for him, because he says, I'm the one that brought you here. So that's a good reminder that don't always work out that way. You create the Frankenstein monster and it kills you.
Mm-hmm.
I think one of my favorite scenes for cinematography was when they're going to bust out the Howling Commandos.
Yes.
And Peggy, I'm sorry, not that scene. I apologize. That was good. Let's talk about that one.
Yeah,
when the motorcycle, she jumps the motorcycle. Mm-hmm. She jumps and kicks the motorcycle into the tower, blows them up. Yeah, Peggy was handing out ass. The scene I'm referring to as my favorite in the visual was the scene where they're going to stop the Red Skull, where they break into the castle. Peggy jumps up in the air over the wall and spins in front of the moon and then comes down. That shit was like Elliot on the bicycle with E.T. in the basket.
Yep.
Going past the moon. That shit was like on The Mandalorian, where Ahsoka is talking to Grogu and there's the big moon lit in back of them. That was beautiful. I mean, that was beautiful. That was like the first time in Michael Keaton Batman, we see the bat plane fly up in front of the moon.
Yep. Mm-hmm.
And then it comes down. That was beautiful. It was beautiful. And then she hit the ground and started fucking people up.
So
That
my
was beautiful
favorite scene was when she's like just destroying all the airplanes and she does like
Yes.
backflip in the
man.
air and then she's just gliding and then Cap, no, he's not Cap here. Steve comes up in the what do they call it? The Hydra Stomper and catches her and then they just fly off. It's great.
I love that montage because I love the jazz.
Mm-hmm.
I love that music. It was beautiful. And I love that they, in Endgame, we got to see Peggy and Steve dancing cheek to cheek, and they were, it was beautiful. But animation lets you get away with a lot of shit. In this show, we got to see Peggy ride Steve.
I knew you were going to say it that way.
She landed on Steve and was riding him, and she was like, Would have been only great if Peggy had just like slapped the back of his helmet or something.
Oh, this is still Disney.
Yeah, that was great.
Still Disney.
Yeah. But she did ride him. So I think they snuck that in subliminally. Everybody knows she rode him. She rode the fuck out of him too.
I think you and another handful of people made that sexual, and I think Disney didn't.
Well, while she was riding him, we had our hands full, let me tell you.
Oh.
But that whole thing, that whole one take scene where she comes through the plane and she's killing people. She throws the dudes out the window. She just keeps going down a huge swath of destruction. Just goes through, fucks all of them up, gets out. It's amazing. It was beautiful.
I'm genuinely concerned with where those planes landed. Like, I hope they landed in the water and not like into people's houses, but you know.
Well, they were over Germany, honey, so fuck them.
I mean, there were still some nice Germans.
Well, it's true. There were. And we don't mean to say all Germans are bad, just the Nazis. The Nazis. So hopefully they just landed on their own home.
Right.
Hopefully they just land on their own home. You know? So Germans, allies.
Right.
So yeah. Oh, the other thing was when they power up the Hydra Stomper, right? So Steve's like, come on, power me up. And when they power him up and he falls down. I kept hearing the R2-D2 sound, you know, after the Jawas shoot him and he falls down. It was great. It was beautiful. Like, charge me up. I'm gonna go and kick some ass. And as soon as he charged up, he just falls down. It was beautiful.
So speaking of the Hydra Stomper, let's backtrack a little bit because you brought up something earlier. And so there was the part where they were on the train, on top of the train.
Oh, man.
And first of all, Bucky falls off and she catches him by his arm and yanks him back up. And he said, thanks, but you almost ripped my arm off. And I laughed because I was like, yeah, sir, in a different universe, that arm is gone. And you have a
yes,
metal arm, and it is a thing.
They slipped that joke in where, you know, how he ultimately became the Winter Soldier. They slipped that in there. So I appreciated that.
So then, you know, a few minutes later, while they're like dealing with whatever, and the Hydra Stomper gets to the front of the train and then it explodes. And Steve, we just assumed like he was, you know, gone in the explosion because we thought that the Hydra Stomper was indestructible. And so I said, wouldn't this be interesting if in this timeline, Steve, because he's not Cap, becomes the Winter Soldier? Because Bucky, we saved him. But I mean, we ended up finding him, and he was just like on the floor somewhere randomly in this castle. I don't know. No one was guarding him. Like, he was just on the floor. But
look at him. What are you going to guard? What was he doing?
I mean, regardless, it seemed a little weird. He was on the floor, unconscious. The Hydra Stomper was up here. They took the Tesseract out to, you know, get the monster. But anyway, I really was, and there's a small part of me that actually kind of hoped that they would make it where it was that he became the Winter Soldier, because I almost feel like that would be oddly poetic, that he was Cap in one universe and then he became the thing that like the world knows about in the spy world that like has all these assassinations, and like he's so pure of heart and somehow Hydra got him.
Yeah, that really would have been a fascinating twist on it, that how accepting would people have been had Steve become the Winter Soldier?
Right.
And
we don't give a shit because it's what if. It's supposed to be
yes.
what
yes,
if happened, as
it's
opposed
exactly
to,
what it
let's
is.
be gentle for all the people who have like frail minds and emotional states. No, this is what
this is like, let's cut loose on this shit.
Right.
Let's do all the shit we couldn't do, but everybody wanted to happen in this animated thing, and that's what they've been doing. Peggy cried for Steve in both movies.
She did.
She cried for Steve in the animated movie where she thought he'd been blown up. She cried for Steve when the plane was going down. She's calling his name, Steve, Steve. And yet Steve at the end, when Peggy, the portal closes, because they still want to keep Steve as a man, a tough man. I mean, Steve wasn't a tough man. Steve didn't cry for Peggy. He didn't call Peggy's name.
He did
just
want
kind
her
of fell to his knees.
Yeah, he did want her to stop, but we didn't see him in the same emotional state that we saw Peggy. And they still chastised Peggy for that, even after she became Captain Carter, when she was very sad in the room with that asshat and Howard, and she was emotional, and he was like, we never should have. Sir, you 5 fucking TV minutes ago, you were just on the phone. Mr. President, this was my idea, and I told Howard. And now you should have never had her. The fuck out of here.
But that was the boss taking credit minute there, so he was all good. Yeah, that's my idea. No, it's always the same way for all that. It was great. There was absolutely nothing about this episode that I did not like. Agreed. I loved every minute of it.
I like
every single minute.
I like that she said, Colonel, you're lucky to be in the room.
Full
circle, bitch.
Let's give it up to Peggy, and you saw when she said it, she didn't look no kind of sad. She said what she said with that creased brow, and then she turned and started talking again. Marvel always gives you the payoff when they do shit, because he kept telling her, you're lucky to be in the room. And she was a super soldier at the time, and she just took it. But after she got that suit on, she wasn't taking shit no more.
Nope.
As she got out in the field, she wasn't taking shit anymore. Not anymore. Those days were over with. I do wish that they had let Steve show more sadness.
Me too.
That he if he had even cried just a little bit, that would have been fine. That would have been perfect. If he had just been down there calling Peggy's name, hitting the ground, that would have been perfect. Don't get me wrong. That they made sure that we saw that he was down and hurt by it. But he's playing the role of Peggy, as it were,
right,
in this thing. And I think that that's the only thing they didn't do, was give him that full emotional range, because as far as he knew, Peggy was gone.
Right. I do like that everybody in the future knew who she was, so that it did not transport her to a different timeline in the same way where when Loki was in that last episode and he got pushed through the portal and ended up in what we think was a totally different version of the TVA, and nobody knew who he was. She stayed in the same timeline where they knew who Captain Carter was. It wasn't like, ma'am, who are you, when she met with Nick Fury.
Yeah, Hawkeye says, sir,
Carter.
That's Captain Carter.
Right.
Yeah.
So I appreciate even 70 years later that they still knew who she was.
Yeah, and what the thing that they did not say is that Steve Rogers is dead.
Right. They just said the war is over.
He would have been about, I guess, 90 some odd years old.
Same as what she was when Cap came and found her, and she unfortunately had dementia. It's very sad.
Yeah. So we wonder what was going on for poor Steve, if he was even alive.
Right.
but they never brought that up, so we don't know if Steve was alive.
We're
At 90 years old, let's face it, he ain't getting in that Hydra Stomper anymore.
right.
The first Iron Man.
Right. So he was
First
still the
Iron
first of something. He wasn't, you know, he was still the first. Wasn't the first Cap or what have you, but he was definitely still the first of something. In this episode, I learned that the extreme hard on that I have for Bucky is only when he becomes the Winter Soldier. Like he was very like,
Yeah, no, it's that hair,
very
and that
like
swagger.
1930s, 1940s,
that crossing the bridge from Madripoor pimp walk.
Yeah,
you know, that was a tough walk though.
And I hate to say it because I don't, you know, he's been through a lot of shit when he transitioned into the Winter Soldier, and then when he was trying to get out of being the Winter Soldier. But like his lines were just very corny, not in a bad way. I was just kind of like, you sound like a sitcom, be quiet. Like he just, what did he say when Captain Carter came and freed him and
who are you, the Queen of England?
Yeah, and I was like, shut up.
Well, she's so somebody who just whooped a bunch of men's ass and then walks up and rips the gate off.
Right, with her British accent. To the person on YouTube who was confused as to why she's British, it's because she's British.
She's always been British.
Right. She's never not been, even in the movie.
And she had on the British flag. I mean, what the hell?
They made it more accurate because Captain America, his flag looks like Puerto Rico. So
throw some paper towels.
That's such
so
I think I like the Winter Soldier more than I like Bucky, if that makes sense.
Yeah.
But Bucky played the part that he was supposed to play, and it still all worked out.
Right.
The focus was supposed to be on Carter and Steve, and that's where the focus was.
Right. And Howard.
What I really wanted was I wanted a little fisticuffs between Captain Carter and the Red Skull. And we kind of got cheated out of that.
Because he died instantly.
Oh man, he got fucked up.
Like
and what the hell is that with Howard Stark being a cock blocker?
I think he didn't mean to do that because he was like, no, just keep going.
You never mean to be, but you are sometimes. You still are. Yeah. Howard Stark. Yeah, okay. I love that they made Howard Stark the same Howard Stark that was in Agent Carter.
Yeah.
That was a fun Howard Stark.
Mm-hmm.
The Howard Stark that was in the cinematic universe, that was a different Howard Stark.
Right.
He was business-like.
Right. He was older, more settled in like his life, and he was married, and this was the Howard when he was young and like crazy.
And out just getting ass all over the place.
All everywhere.
Oh man.
Tony has many siblings.
So in this universe, Howard Stark creates the first Iron Man armor.
Mm-hmm.
And powers it with the Tesseract, which us old folks in comics would call the cosmic cube. So, because I'm old as fuck, so
he's not.
But yeah, Steve Rogers becomes the first Iron Man, the first person to wear in that universe.
Right.
He becomes the first. So it was really good. I could watch an entire season of Captain Carter and Steve Rogers in the Hydra Stomper, just fucking stuff up left and right.
Yeah, agreed.
That oh man, that's just beautiful. So I loved it. I loved every minute of it. It was very well done. So I'm gonna give it 2 big comic and other cons thumbs up.
Agreed. I'm right there with you. There was a lot of action. There was a lot of good emotion that came in, like in appropriate moments. And Peggy was able to switch it on and off as needed and as appropriate. So it was good all around.
And both captains in love with each other. still made the ultimate sacrifice, knowing what they were about to leave behind. You know, they still, and the dance came up for both. You know, it's just
Only
that.
a dance, 8 o'clock,
Correct.
etc.
They both made that ultimate sacrifice. So you saw what they were about. They were about the thing that it took Tony Stark to learn until Endgame.
Right.
To make that ultimate sacrifice. But yes, so I loved it. And I'm here for more appearances of Captain Carter. And I know there will be more. So we're looking forward to them.
Yeah.
Peggy, bring her on.
Right. So that is our recap and conversation of the What If first episode. As we said, there will be more content. We're just getting caught up. So the next episode that we'll post after this one will be episode 3, so that we should be all caught up. Episode 4 airs pretty soon. So we'll make sure that from then now we'll be able to stay in order. And if we don't, mind your business. So again, thank you for joining us. Please feel free to like and subscribe. Comment if there's anything that you would like us to start watching and potentially talking about. My dad and I are always interested in different things, and we're constantly texting each other on shows that we may want to watch. I know that we're interested in a couple things on Hulu. If they ever come out with another season of Jack Ryan, we will definitely be watching that. So,
oh man, we were at that Jack Ryan panel at the New York Comic Con when it was there for season 2. Oh, it was good. It was so good.
We got to watch an episode. That was also when we got to watch Marvel Runaways, only to find out we weren't renewing it after that season. It was very sad. And I got to see the creators and took a picture with him. It was great.
Yep.
It was great.
It was great. It was great. So that's my kid.
That's my dad.
And we are
Comic and Other Cons. Thank you for joining us. We'll see you in the next episode. Bye.
Thank you.